Hi, everyone. It is really nice to be here with you. This is Susie Church Brown. I am here with two of my bloggers, and it has been a very long time. So I am here today with Sharoya and Angie, and we are going to talk about downsizing, which is kind of as you're inching your way towards I don't like the words empty nest, but I guess that's kind of the terms that most people are familiar with. But like, let's talk about it. What's it like to go from a full household to minimal family at home?
hmm Hi, Susie. Thanks for getting us here to talk about that. Yeah, I think this is relatable. This is a diplo a diplomatic lifestyle like issue that we all go through, and whether maybe you had a larger number of people in your family, and now people are maybe some of the kids are going to live on their own. Maybe they're going to go to boarding school. How do you like changing the size of your family? And we're constantly changing the size of our homes and how much we own. We're like upsizing and downsizing so often. So we just went from we were a family of six. We are a family of six. We're still a family. But my oldest graduated in 2019, one graduated in 2020, and my youngest just graduated. So over the last 5 years, we've been constantly decreasing in numbers. But then holidays come up, and then we're this huge family of six all the time. We're always in flow, and then summers happen, and you go back to being a family of six, but with a bonus kid. We have another State Department kid who's staying with us now while his family's overseas. So I mean, I can't even use the word downsizing or empty nest yet, even though technically this year would have been an empty nest year. My older two kids are living in our house. So that's just my personal connection to what's happening. As usual, I don't know. I will have a lot of uh, personal stories to share, but I don't know about advice or how to make the best practice of it. Sharoya, what about you? Where are you at with this?
Well, ladies, I'm so happy to be back with you all. Having a great conversation is always something I like to do. So, in fact, today is my birthday and I'm only doing things I like to do. And so that lets you know I like spending time with you all and sharing stories with our community, knowing that if we had some of these stories, we would have been like, oh, okay, this is normal. This is, where I should go for follow-up. And so I just really enjoy the Big Purple Blob and being able to share our stories. For me, I became an empty nester due to boarding school. So I have three sons. The oldest one left when he was in seventh grade. No, eighth grade. It was eighth grade. And that's because we were in Abidjan and they were having a war. And so I was like, okay, I did all my planning, thought I would picked out the perfect school. We went back to Atlanta, saw these schools, and he was like, I don't like them. And my husband and I always said, if this becomes a burden for our children, then we're going to have to change something. Like either we come back home, we do something drastic to make sure they're comfortable. And so he was like, I want to go to boarding school. And I thought, what? No. And but it was common, this was something that he grew up very used to, having grown up in Cameroon and Abidjan, where local families send their kids to boarding school. And so his actual elementary school was a boarding school. So many of his friends were boarders. So we get there and oh, I love this school, this boarding school in Atlanta. And my husband and I looked at each other like, this bill is a lot. But that was a point where money is just not so important when you're a child. dealing with all of that reality of just evacuating from a country where many of their friends were still there. And when they would call and check on them, they could literally hear bombing behind them, or the gunshots, I should say. And so, yeah, that was the first one. And then the second one, uh, I sent him to a boarding school because I was homeschooling him. So to get, no, it was a summer camp, which happened to be a boarding school. And I was homeschooling him. So that's why State Department says, why don't you send him to this summer camp so he can get some more socialization? I'm like, yes, this sounds great. He gets there, they have fishing, they have not hunting, but they have fishing, they have like cooking classes and horseback ride. I was just like, he goes, do you mind if I stay here? And then I said, oh, just test it out. You don't even know if you like it. And then he goes, 3 weeks later, he sends a card home, a postcard, and goes, Dad, can you tell, the school name was Oakland, Dad, can you tell Mom that I want to stay in the land of Oakland? I was just like, are you kidding me? Another one? And so, yeah, that was, and then the third one, I think he just thought it was a rite of passage.
To go
And
to boarding school.
It's
yeah.
automatic by then.
And so because the other two left middle school, he thought he would do middle school, but I kept telling him, I said, baby, if you're not ready, you're welcome to stay home. And he decided no, that he would go in ninth grade. So at least I won one more year with him.
Yeah, I mean, boarding school, that's, to me, like mentally, that's so much earlier than I would be mentally prepared for the kids to be out of the house. And I always, we very luckily, you know, all of the posts that we've been to have had that boarding school option for the, because a lot of countries don't have that option, right? But many of the ones that we've been to, there is that boarding school option payment. But I've never wanted to like tap into that. But you know, dropping off the eldest 2 years ago, that was like one thing, and then we had to like to university, and then now this summer dropping off the middle one, and it just feels, it's not that this is a big house, and it's not a small house. I mean, all houses in at this post seem to be roughly the same square footage, but it just feels like I'm not even mentally ready to just have one child home, let alone like in 2 years, then he's going to be gone too. I don't know.
Yeah, it's so true. It goes by quickly. And there's the different aspects of that mental preparedness. We talk about this, I feel like it's almost every pod.
Me
But
too.
is there any mental preparedness? Does that ever happen? Have you ever been mentally prepared for something? I just feel like no matter how much I prepare or I think I'm preparing or I'm completely unprepared, like you said in the case of evacuation or just sudden changes that we're not prepared for. Either way, I always feel like I'm a little bit scrambling to keep up. There is no level at which I feel like, wow, I was 100% prepared for this. I was organized, I was emotionally thoughtful, I was present at all times, or even close to that. I don't even get to the 90% preparedness. Like we know this is coming for 18 years or, you know, in seventh grade or whatever it is. We plan, like you said, Sharoy, I picked out the school, I had interview, you have a plan. And it still kind of always hits as like, it's just a little bit, it's a challenge. It hits as a challenge, right?
Yeah. But when I'm talking to empty nester parents and who are really struggling, there's two things. One, I recently heard it, I think it summarized it well. When you drop your child off and they turn around with a little tear in their eye and they wave goodbye and they keep walking away, that's a great sign that they are equipped emotionally, socially to fly. And so when you get in the car, yes, you can shed the tears and feel how you want to feel, but you should just say, doggone it, we did a good job. This kid doesn't even want to come home with us. And so that's one thing. And then the other thing is recognizing that when they call you and they don't want to talk on the phone because they're having such a good time, that's when it's time for you to start having a good time in different ways. And that's what my son, my youngest one, taught me. And I guess that's when it all hit me because sometimes I forget my bad days. So, like the first child, I don't really remember feeling terrible because actually it was like a weight lifted. It was like we're trying to help three kids and ourselves go through this, change, this drastic change, that we did not expect leaving Abidjan after a few months. And so to know that he was cared for, and we were in the US for a while he started the school. So we pick him up every weekend. We knew that he liked the people and they liked him and he ate well. So by the time we left, it was almost like we had one thing that was done and taken care of. So there was a sense of relief with him. The second child, not only did I feel like I felt happy that he found his place, right? Because school wasn't working for him in Zambia. But I also lost the fact that the homeschooling connection we had. We became very tight during that. So that I remember feeling that. And then the third one, when he went off to school, that boy did not want to call home. And when he called home, he had like, okay, he knew he would just wait till 5 minutes before his next thing, right? So he could go, I got to do this, right? So it just hit me. I thought, this kid is having the time of his life. Why don't I? And I just began to think of myself, what do I want to do? What fun do I want to have? Not just how do I want to keep going with my routine and everything. I really had a moment like, this is high time for me to decide what's next and what that looks like.
Mm-hmm. That's so
I,
smart, Sharoya.
I love how you put that though, like not continuing with your routine, because it is totally different to have fewer family members to care for. I mean, it's not like they aren't family members still. Of course, they're still family members, but now we have all these time zones in between us that we have to consider. But it's when we're thinking about like, okay, so what are we going to do this weekend, for example? Like, we no longer have to think about 5 schedules. We have 3 schedules. What keeps tripping us up is shopping and cooking.
Uh-huh. I could imagine for you, Susie, that cooking.
Yeah, like it is night and day different to cook for 5, 3 of whom were, teenage boys. And then now 3 of us, 2 of us don't eat that much. And the teenage boy that's still with us, he doesn't eat that much either. He's more of a snacker than a meal eater. And so it's like, I'm so tired of leftovers. I am so tired of leftovers, but I can't help it. Of course, we're going to cook all the chicken. It's like, no, there's 3 of us. So I now have like stickies everywhere. Remember, there's 3 of you. There's 3 of you because I can't keep cooking these amounts. And then when the other 2 come back during their holiday break or summer break, it's going to take me a while to ramp back up again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's such a shift. It's so many changes. We have the thing with the cooking too. We're trying to figure out how much to make each night and now our kids are older, so we don't know who's gonna show up. Because my kids are 23 and 24 right now. So they work all day and they go out with their friends and have their own life. So sometimes they don't get home till 11, like they're working and at grad school, and sometimes they do. And I don't want to be that annoying parent who every night is like, are you coming home for dinner? What's the plan? What's the plan? And even if they do come home, they are gonna eat the leftover. So we might as well cook.
Send them to my house. So, but Angie, like you guys never went down to like just you guys because now you have the graduates
So
there.
this is the funny, my youngest just graduated and we moved him into to the dorm room at his university. So this would technically be our empty nest year. 2025 should be our empty nest. And it kind of that was in our mind, like, okay, wow, it will be a big change when all four kids are out of the house. And it just worked out that we moved into our home that we own in Arlington. And we're back in the States, and we haven't been in the same country as the older two for a few years. And it just worked out that my daughter said, I'm going to go to grad school and it's near the house. And to be able to afford the grad school, I need to save on rent. So she said she was going to move in, which is great for me. I'm happy to not, I don't know if I'm ready to face just the two of us. And then my older son, the apartment that he was renting, his landlord randomly was doing construction. So he said, I think I'll move home for a little bit. And we got the bonus kids. So we ended up being seven of us here this summer, over the summer. And it's our year of empty nest. So it's a little funny. And then, yeah, it's kind of having kids half living here while they're in their dorms, but then also the younger kids are in their dorms, but coming home for Thanksgiving, coming home for breaks or any weekends or um, so we're on that bridge between independence and also still having space for them. The other thing is just the physical component of setting up the supplies for like keeping things in the house, right? Because you don't have where are you at, Sharoy? Do you just set up your house for like two of you, or do you have
I
overflow?
mean, we went from what, like 6,000 whatever square foot we lived in South Africa, and now we're back to like barely 2,000 square
Yeah.
feet. And so that has been huge, right? Because the other thing is, just talking back to how our lives are, seems like always in transition. And our families look at us like, when are you ever just going to have a normal life? At least my family is looking at it. Because when we came back, we had this different plan of how it's going to look for my husband and his work, but he was unable to find something in our state, so he's working in another state. So here again, we're separated. But when my second son graduated from college, he said he wants to come home. I literally cried. Like, I don't want him in my space. This house is only 2,000 square feet. Like, if it was South Africa, no problem. Like, it was really bad, I thought. And everybody's looking at me like, why are you like really stressed about this? I was like, because you don't know this kid is moody and I'm moody. And we can only have one mood in 2,000 square feet at a time. So before we moved into this house, I lied to you not. I said, babe, we're going to have a meeting on Zoom and we're going to talk about this. Like, what should I do on your bad day? What you
Mhm.
should do on my bad day? And how these things are going to go down and what it looks like to be a dependent versus an occupant. So that's a whole nother podcast. So I want parents to just rest assured, maybe there's one who might come back home. And that was not what I was expecting because the first one just went from college straight to working and living on his own. But now look, my husband is working in a different state. We have 14 acres, so I'm like in the middle of nothing. No neighbors. And so he's here with me. So what a blessing that has been. But yeah, so that's the flip side of having an empty nest and then one comes back home.
Mhm.
But I love that, Sharoya. That is so smart to have that conversation because they are adults, right? Like at this
Yes.
point, they have they have the capacity to have a full-time job. He could very well have chosen to be in an apartment. So he could be maybe nearby, but to have that conversation is just, that's so respectful of his independence and his,
Yes.
what he needs as well. And so, I applaud that. I think that's awesome. You should write like a script for that.
You know what? This is the whole thing. I'm working on a book and it's all about scripting for parents because I recognize, we as parents and when I'm working with parents, I know they know what to do. They just don't know what to say and when to say it,
Mhm.
which is so key. But he told me the other week, he goes, Mom, we're doing great. We've only had one argument, and that was like our first month, and we haven't had a problem since. Yeah.
That is incredible. Sharoy,
That is
I love that.
incredible.
I think that's such a good idea. Just to before you even get to that point, it's not like after the argument that you're like trying to figure it out. You had that idea, let's get on Zoom and establish some protocol for how this will
Yeah.
go down. That's so smart.
I mean, in a way, sure, you're related, obviously, because you're his mom, but you'd have that same sort of conversation with a roommate, right?
Yeah.
And
And
so
occupant.
why would we not give the same respect to our children? I
Mhm.
mean, so we spent a lot of time this summer, when we were stateside, looking around at potential places to retire and cities that we like, city occupants that we like as well. And that was one of the things that we talked about, like, you have to be prepared for the possibility that the kids might come home, especially the way the job market is now. Like, you never really know, even if you have that 1 degree that like everybody wants right now today, is that going to be the case in 3 years or 4 years, or what's the job market going to be like at that point? And so, I think, I don't know, Angie, I kind of think that I would appreciate and maybe hope for the kids to come home. So it wouldn't necessarily be planning on just the two of us for our empty nest years. But I don't know. I feel like, I mean, even our house here, where we're still overseas, we're still under the umbrella of the embassy. But when your kids are college age, they're counted on your orders as a half a person. And so when they assigned the house, they assigned it for 2 half people. So technically, there's only my direct hire husband, obviously, and then my youngest kid, myself, and then 2 half people. And so that is a totally different house category. And so, like, I mean, if they come at the same time, they'll either have to share or someone will have to sleep all the way upstairs,
Mhm.
which is not actually a bedroom. And so, I mean, this is kind of easing us into what it will be like if we were to purchase a house and then they come back, because
Mhm.
you can't buy a 6,000 square foot house in the United States and do anything else other than eat ramen noodle, because you can't afford anything else.
Yeah, exactly. It's that, I mean, maybe this is a skill for us because we move all around the world, right? We have to be open to like, okay, we'll see how we're gonna make it work. Maybe we'll get a small house, maybe we'll get a big house, maybe we'll be further away from downtown, maybe we'll be in an urban area, and you just have to figure it out. And I guess that's what we're doing. Like maybe if there's more people, we have extra overflow beds and like trundle beds and everything here since we've set up our house here, because I think that's how it's gonna go. And especially with the college kids, our kids went to their friends' houses and stayed in their, if they had a guest room or a little extra bed, pull out or whatever. That's what they were doing while we were overseas. And now we're hosting those kids and paying it forward. Like, so you just gotta think about that stuff and have those overflow spaces. And I think it is fine. Like, who, I didn't need my own room everywhere I stayed. Not when I was 21, not when I was 7, not when, like now,
Yeah.
I'm happy to whatever, sleep on somebody's couch for a night or two when I'm on a road trip and visiting a friend. That works, right? We can be
Yeah.
flexible.
Yeah, so
I
that's just
do.
a little word to the wise. Like, okay, don't throw out the furniture yet. You are an empty nester. Like you said, get that trundle going on in that room. Remove the full or the queen size mattress, but don't throw everything out
Yeah.
because I have this. Actually, I woke this morning and thought my husband. He says there's a possibility he might get a job. That's virtual. So he could come home. And I'm like, oh, what are we going to do? Buy an RV or a shed to put his office in, right? And my thing is RV because it adds another bed or two, for
Hmm.
the house. So yeah, but me, I've always got to give advice. I think one of the things that I hear from parents of their children going to college is or boarding school, they don't call us. And they really feel bad about it. Like, especially that if there's a sibling in the house that misses their brother or sister and that one is not calling. Well, the way we rectify this, it might not work for everybody, is simply because we pay the bill, we will get called. And, we did say it to him, like, we are your parents, love and adore you. And we want to hear from you. And out of respect for all that we do, the fact that we've allowed you to come here, all we ask is that you call us every Saturday. Okay, so then Saturday came, he's like, okay, no problem. But that's when he came with Saturday, 5 minutes. And we're both on the phone and we can't get our questions answered, right? So we're like, this is not going to work. So my husband and I talked about it. We're like, okay, you're going to get your day and I'm going to get mine. So we told him he had to call his dad on Saturday and me on Sunday. So 20 minutes, 20 minutes, right? Do you know he is now, that was boarding school. He's now 21 in his last year of college and he still calls us. But my husband was getting mad like last year, like, he doesn't call me on Saturday like he's supposed to. I said, babe, you do realize our child is 20 now. He's 20. Okay. He has been doing this since boarding school faithfully. I said, I don't think you have just like transitioned with him. Right. So I had the talk with him. I said, babe, I want you to understand we recognize you are a man now. Like, and you've been calling us since you've been in middle school every weekend. And recently you haven't, and your dad is feeling some type of way. But I want you to know what we can do. Daddy and I agree. We'll just back away whenever you want to call. It's fine because this is not normal for a 20-year-old to call their parents every week, right? So he was like, no, mom, I don't want that to happen. I said, well, we're leaving it up to you. There will be no like why you didn't call me anymore. And so
Oh,
he does. He still gets it in.
I
That,
love that. I
I
love
love
that
that.
story. Yes, it is. I wonder that too, like how, as it unfolds, as the kids get older, how will our relationships evolve? Will we be in touch all the time? Will we be those people that call each other once a day? Like I talked to my mom a lot on the phone, right? But also I was young when I was 22. I didn't. And there were periods of years when I didn't call all the time. So I love that, Sharoya. That's a good point to think about. But I like that you set your expectations too. So it's not just this thing people do when we have hurt feelings and we just keep it all inside instead of just explaining to the other person, like, hey, here's what I need, or things would work well for me if we did this. So I love that you pointed that out.
So we use WhatsApp a lot and we have family chats and then the brothers have a chat, the boys all have a chat. And then like I have a chat with boys and, certain information flows on different things. But what we really appreciate, we probably like talk to the boys, maybe every other week, but like we do voice messages a lot and videos. And so, and WhatsApp makes that super easy to do that. People stateside don't use WhatsApp well enough. Like, it's just such an amazing tool. But overseas, that's what is very reliable. Not in this country because it's blocked for video, but for chat, it works great. But I do think that is, again, Sharoya, like, it's just so important that people lay out what they need. And if you can't say, hey, I'm your mom and I respect your time. I know you're an adult. I know you're busy. You know, you give us what you can, and I appreciate the time that you give to us. Whereas your husband clearly wants, like, I want my weekly phone call.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's okay that parents have different needs. I think I don't think my husband is quite as articulate with what he wants from the boys, and he's always like, well, did you hear from them? And I'm like, well, but you can write to them as well. There's no reason why you can't send that message as well. But I think my kids all know, like, I need at least like a proof of life once every 24 hours. It doesn't have to be like something eloquent. It doesn't have to be, you know, like a long, it just, you know, even like, hey mom, what's up? Okay, I know you're awake. I know you're alive. That's good for me.
That is too funny, Susie, a proof of life. Angie, I want to ask you, because you know, Susan and I have all boys. Did you notice like there was a difference between when your daughter left in your mood versus your son or sons?
Yeah, I mean, it has been sort of different with each kid, but so a little bit personalities, I think. But yeah, I have one daughter who calls me more often than everybody else. But that's just, I think it's more personality because my oldest daughter is probably the most independent. She's the least likely to call or
But when you
keep
were
up.
dropping her off, did you find it like, oh, she was the first to go?
Yeah, she was the
Okay.
first. Yeah, and she was the, like you said, like walk away and like wave, like, okay, see you later. Like, I'm fine, you know. She's super independent. And always has been. But then that's really fun because so unexpectedly she is here living with us now. So I'm really like grateful for that. And it's not what she would probably have predicted. And I'm still kind of waiting. I'm wondering if at some point she's gonna be like, never mind, I'm moving out. Pay for Rather pay for an apartment than have to put up with mom asking me like, "Are you gonna be home for dinner? Are you gonna be what are you doing this weekend?"
I think they appreciate that. I do. I think I mean, especially, you know, so mine haven't like fully left the house, right? They're still in university, but then when they come home on breaks and they're like, we're asking, so, you know, are you going out with friends or you just, you know, trying to figure out how many portions to cook? I think they kind of like that sort of, and this is, maybe I'm just telling myself this so to make myself feel better. As that sentence is going, I'm like, wait a minute, do they like that? But I think they do. I think they do because like they don't have that person asking about them when they're in the dorm, right? And so here's finally this person that has been there for them. It's familiar. It's someone that like puts their needs first, and that's kind of a nice little gift because they know it's short term. You, Angie, you know your daughter's not going to be there. Certainly, probably even into the last year of her graduate program.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a gift.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all thinking of it as temporary. And actually, my daughter, who is for the first time at her apartment, she moved in August, so it's been a couple months. And she told me yesterday, her and her roommate were talking, and they said, adulting is like kind of overrated. They were so excited, right? Moving, it's their first apartment. Like they get to pick a rug or if they're going to hang up a shower curtain or whatever. And they were cooking some things and would send photos of their um like Buddha bowl that they made and everything. And I was thinking like, wow, this is really sophisticated. And now they realize, oh, it was kind of nice just be studying and have someone bring you tea and have somebody bring you a snack. Now I have to think about what I'm gonna make and prepare it and when I'm gonna do laundry and realizing all that stuff. So maybe you're right, Susie. Maybe they can appreciate it from a different perspective after they've had to do it for themselves.
I think like what it maybe it gets annoying sometimes that they're being asked those things, but deep inside it's like mom is being mom. It's so
Mhm.
that is enjoyable. Mom is continue to be consistent and just a caring mom. Because like my oldest, he goes, I have never seen a mom who is so excited to see her kids when they come back from a 24-hour trip. It's like, and it didn't dawn on me. And maybe that's because of boarding school. Like I was just excited to see them all the time. So I still behave the same way. And so they shake their head like this is really over the top. But if I change, Susie, I think they would be disappointed.
We will, you and I, we're going to continue to be like the dog that when they walk in the door, we're like, easy.
Yeah, but you know how I think this is also the benefit um, of the lifestyle that we live in moving where our family members become our friends.
Yeah.
For at least the first 2 months that we move, we have no car. We just have to rely on each other. Um, and so that is really hard for some people to understand. Um, that how close we are, but still have boundaries because I try to let people know, don't write a narrative for our family. Like my children are mama's boys and no, like we're friendly to each other. And so
Mm.
that's why we are we love being in the vicinity. And the boys don't really understand how kids don't like their parents. That just baffles their minds, So,
Mm.
um, but that's another topic for another day. But I think what I would just say in closing for me is that person who is really struggling, male, dad, mom, whatever, to recognize, yes, it is a big loss, to have that person, their actual presence. Because sometimes I miss the touch of my 6'3" son. That was a lot to kind of adjust to. That wasn't there anymore. Their personality, the humorous child was now gone. So that changed the whole dynamic of the dinner conversation. Um, but just kind of really noticing what is missed. I love there's a book about grief and says you can't really address it well until you recognize what is missing.
Mm.
That'll help you decide what you want to go get in replace of it. So
Oh, Sharoya, that's so smart. Okay, that's a great note to close on because honor and recognize what's missing, right? As we're going through downsizing, as we're moving towards empty nest, as your families shift and change, I think that's a smart thing to do. Recognize what is missing and figure out what you want to go get. What's missing is what you want more of in your life. And if it is that humor, that's when you watch a funny movie together, have cultivate
puppy
conversations with.
club.
Yes. Oh, um, well, we're at time, so we should wrap up, but thank you. It was so good to talk. Sharoya, thank you for sharing your birthday with us.
Yes. I love that you love us so much that you let us talk with you on your birthday. That's the best. Best gift
Yeah.
of all.
Yeah, it's good to connect with everyone again. Thanks to everyone who's listening with our audience. Thanks for supporting us and being part of our conversation. Please reach out and write to us. Let us know what you want to talk about. You are not alone. We are all here with you. We are all going through this adventure together. So thank you for joining us. Thanks, everyone.